Namaste, Satnam. So now that you know the 8 limbs of yoga, you're familiar that the first and the second are the Yamas and the Niyamas. We're going to dig a lot deeper into the Yamas and Niyamas. You'll find that it's kind of the crux of an entire yoga training program and can become sort of the pivotal point of your life. The Yamas and the Niyamas are a set of do's and don'ts. They're actually in order of don'ts and then do's. So the Yamas are the don'ts, and the Niyamas are the do's. There's 10 of them, and I make a circle when I speak about them because they do go in order. So the first one really comes first. We have to cultivate it first before we move through the others. But you'll find that they also continuously spin in a wheel, so that when you find yourself out of sync or out of practice in one area, you sort of move through the Yamas and Niyamas to get back, so that you're in a full practice of all of the Yamas and Niyamas. The first of the Yamas is ahimsa, or non-violence, and it really means not doing harm to yourself or to anyone else. That includes internal self-talk as well as physical harm. So it's easy to say, I'm not violent, I'm not a violent person, I don't have a violent nature. But then just look a little more deeply. The Yamas and Niyamas invite us to look really closely at ourselves, to really get a mirror and see, am I kind to myself? Do I say and think things that harm myself and others? And if we do, then it merely means that you're a human being. And what you want to do is just begin to be aware of it and be forgiving and loving to yourself for anything that you've been doing that's harmful. So the very essence of non-harm is to just be really non-judgmental, non-critical, non-berating, loving with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Ahimsa, non-violence. And of course, once we extend these yamas to ourselves, we can then be that in the world. So when I'm kind and gentle with myself, it's a lot easier to be kind and gentle with a family member or a stranger. A lot of times when we see someone or something that we dislike and we judge and we are violent towards, it's because it's a reflection of that quality inside ourselves. Number 1, ahimsa, non-harm. Number 2 is satya, non-truth. And it really just means, non-lying or truth. Non-lying, not lying to yourself about what's going on, not exaggerating a situation, not getting swept up into someone else's truth, not just accepting things as truth without investigating them for yourselves. And the biggest way I feel like this plays out is when we first exaggerate what happened or what didn't happen, and when we make assumptions. If someone were to say something to us, we make an assumption about what it means that they said, when actually the truth is that they have said the thing, and the assumption is non-truth. That's not honoring satya. Satya is just the facts, ma'am. I don't know if you've seen that old Dragnet show, just the facts. So satya is really about not allowing our emotions to create a story, not making an assumption, and of course not lying to ourselves and then to others. Ahimsa, satya. The third is asteya, or non-stealing. And this one kind of seems strange at first, like, okay, that's easy not to steal. That's great. Not only physically stealing, but we want to be able to not steal from ourselves time. So we do that by honoring the present moment. When you're stuck in your head about something that happened in the past or something that's going to happen in the future, you rob yourself of the present moment. So in that moment, we're not honoring asteya. We are stealing from ourselves the present moment. I notice this if I'm getting caught up in something that I'm thinking about or that I think a person meant. So again, going back to Satya, I think when she said that, she meant that. Yeah, she meant that. And then I get stuck in this narrative when I'm actually out in a field with my children and I'm missing the beauty of the moment. I'm missing that magical moment. I'm stealing the moment away from myself because I'm trapped in my mind doing something else. So that's one way that we can honor and practice asteya. And then another way is by not interrupting people. So when someone's speaking and we interrupt, we're stealing their time away. Yet another way we can practice asteya is by not stealing someone else's attention. So if, for example, if there's someone in your life that you just feel like they've got it together, you love the attention they give to you, and you're feeling kind of down and out, and so you go to them and you sort of, like a mosquito, begin to suck away their attention and time from things that they might need to be spending their time and attention on, their own health and well-being, their children, their job. They might want to be focused on something else, but you come along and you sort of demand, look at me, talk to me, give me the attention I deserve. That's not honoring asteya. That's stealing the attention of someone else. And of course, all of these we have to, again, just keep returning to ahimsa. If you're noticing that these are things you do, just notice. Be in that Vijnana Maya Kosha, the wisdom, the witness body, where we're just noticing like, oh yeah, I do that. Or that's done to me. And we do it without judging, without blaming. We come right back to ahimsa, nonviolence, where we just forgive ourselves. We forgive the other person. Ahimsa, satya, asteya. The fourth and fifth are mouthfuls, and they go together. Aparigraha and brahmacharya. So aparigraha means non-attachment. Not only non-attachment to things, but non-attachment to people. Codependency is not honoring aparigraha. So using a substance or a person to sort of numb out or to distract yourself from your internal world or from pain, latching on to something else. And then that feeds right into brahmacharya, which is overindulgence. Knowing that eating this ice cream is just really a beautiful distraction for me having to deal with the pain of the world. And that's okay to an extent, until it becomes overindulging. We're overeating that ice cream. We're causing harm. We're again going back and not honoring ahimsa by eating too much ice cream. We're hoarding. We're just overindulging, and it doesn't have to be ice cream. It can be sex. It can be attention from a person. It can be overworking, oversexing, overdoing anything that would be pleasurable, but we overdo it to the point where it becomes void of pleasure. We need to do it more and more and more and more and more to get that original gain. That's not honoring brahmacharya. So oftentimes you'll see brahmacharya explained as celibacy, and in modern terms we don't look at it as such. We look at it as not overindulging in sex, not overindulging in food, not overindulging in being with a friend. And you can see then how it sort of goes hand in hand with aparigraha, not attaching to a substance or an event or an activity or a person and overindulging in that thing. So next we move into the niyamas, which are the do's. So we've got don't harm, don't lie, don't steal, don't attach, don't overindulge. And then we come into the do's, the niyamas. The first niyama is saucha, which is honoring cleanliness. And we do this in a physical sense. We clean our bodies, we clean our house, we clean our car. Feng shui fits in with this principle. Objects in space reflect the mind. So we want to keep our temple, both our body temple and our home, clean. But we also honor Saucha by having internal purity, by cleansing our emotional body, cleansing our spirit, doing the internal work, noticing what's there. One way we can do this is by a tantric meditation, by decompressing at the end of the day, by noticing what happened today and how did I feel when that happened and then what happened. If you're old enough, you might remember defragging the hard drive. We used to have to do that. I'm barely old enough. I'm almost 40, but I remember it was important to defragment your hard drive, and you could sort of watch it. There was this screen that would come up on the computer monitor. It was lots of rectangles, and you would just systematically kind of go through what's important, what happened today, what did I download today, what can I get rid of. Decompressing the files that aren't really important, highlighting the things that were important, putting everything in an organized place. This goes here, that goes there. It's important to defrag our own hard drives. At the end of the day, so much happens in a day now. So it's really important to just kind of be with what happened. Who did I see? What did they say? What did I learn? What did I want to do better with? What emotions came up for me? What feelings came up for me? And what did I do with those feelings? How could I have done that better? This kind of mental inventory is a way of honoring Saucha, of clearing and cleansing. Because if we don't do that, if we don't have this defragmenting, so to speak, it just starts to culminate. And years and years and years and decades and lifetimes go by, and we've got these really messy, junky, dirty closets full of emotions and experiences that have not been looked at or dealt with. And how can we go forward? We have to start to honor Saucha, declutter, open. There are issues in the tissues. The body keeps score. These are both representations of how things happen to us. And when we hold on to them and don't cleanse ourselves of them, it becomes to create disease or disease in the body. So Saucha, honoring clarity of the space externally and internally. After Saucha comes Santosha. Santosha can be translated as contentment. The problem with contentment, which is perfect, it's perfect. And if that word resonates with you, use that word. But sometimes that can seem like we're being a doormat, or we're just sort of like laying down and allowing anything bad to happen to us and just, kind of being a wet towel, like, okay. And that's not really what that means. So if contentment to you has that connotation of just taking it, just sucking it up and taking what's thrown at you, let's shift it a little bit and let that word be allowing. We're allowing, we're accepting. I notice that this is what's happening, and I allow it. So there's a way that we can avoid suffering. In Buddhism, we honor non-suffering by accepting and allowing what's happening. So there's pain, there's discomfort, there's negativity, and instead of fretting and saying, oh, I don't want to feel this way, we just notice, I feel this way, I have pain. And the pain itself is hard enough without trying to make it not be what it is. We can never make something be anything than what it is in that moment. So with Santosha, with allowing, with accepting, we are in a practice of being in, again, that Vijnanamaya wisdom body state and just noticing, this is what's happening now. I have pain. I have discomfort. I have tiredness. I have sickness. So we make that delineation of saying, we don't say, I am sick. We say, I have sickness. I'm not hungry. I have hunger. And if you've studied Spanish or any of the Latin languages, then they embrace that. They say, I have hunger. I have sadness. I have boredness. Instead of I am bored, I am tired, I am sad, I am pain. Just notice, I have hunger. I'm going to eat. I have sadness. I'm going to deal with this and move on with my life. So the essence of santosha is not to accept something and then stay in it, live with it forever. It's just to accept, hey, this is up for me right now. And then we can move forward into the next niyama, which is tapas. Tapas is the fire, the austerity, the inner drive, the flame, the desire to burn through any mess that's there, anything that we notice when we're doing that cleansing, that saucha, that inventory, anything that we notice during the santosha. We can use our tapas, our inner flame, to sort of burn through what's no longer working, to set goals, to have a dream of what we'd like our world to look like. So it's sort of a tricky place to understand, because we're not wishing that things were different than they are. We're noticing that this too shall pass, and I'm going to work toward this. So this is the goal that I'm pulling toward myself, and this is the way that I'm getting there. This is my vision, my third eye vision, my gut vision of how things will be in my world. This is my daydreaming. This is my internal desire, my flame, my tapas. So I can notice what's happening. I can defrag my hard drive with saucha, cleaning, cleansing, cleaning out my closet. I can allow things to be just as they are with santosha, and then I can do something about it. So I can respond rather than react with my tapas. This allows us, once we've burned through all of these things that are no longer serving us, we burn up what's no longer serving us so that we can daydream the world the way we want it to be. And then we move into svadhyaya, which is self-study, self with the big S, where we notice the divine spark within ourselves. We notice the peace of God residing inside of us. By this point, when you get to svadhyaya, when you're ready to cultivate that, you need to have an understanding of what God means to you, what spirit means to you, what source means to you, what universe means to you. Whichever word you want to use, they're all synonyms in my heart and my mind, but I invite you to use the languaging that feels the best to you. So just as you would say namaste to someone, the divine spark inside me sees the divine spark inside you. What does that mean to you? What does divine spark mean to you? And take some real time to sit with that. It may take an hour or a day or a week or a month or a year or a decade to understand, what is this for me? What is this higher power? What is this cosmic sense, this divine spark? What do I mean when I say that? And when you know that, then you're ready to understand svadhyaya, self-study, recognizing the divine spark inside of yourself that is also outside of yourself, that you are a part of something greater, you are a piece of the cosmic whole, you are consciousness that's part of a universal consciousness. So when we honor svadhyaya, we study the self, but not the small self, not the ego. We study the self, capital S, what we're a part of, something greater. Svadhyaya, it's tattooed on my wrist. Once we've gone through all 9 of the first yamas and niyamas, so ahimsa, non-harm, satya, non-lying, so truth, asteya, non-stealing, aparigraha and brahmacharya, non-attachment, non-indulgence, non-overindulgence, saucha, cleansing, santosha, acceptance and allowing. And that's really a mastery of the Vijnanamaya kosha of witnessing, being in that wisdom witness body state. Tapas, austerity, flame, drive, daydreaming, capability to see with the mind's eye. Svadhyaya, self-study, the divine spark within us. Then we're finally ready for Ishvara Pranidhana, which is surrender. Surrender to that divine spirit. Surrender to source. And surrender doesn't mean giving up. Surrendering means trust, handing over. It's like taking off your heavy backpack after a long day. You get off the school bus, you've got this backpack full. There's so much weight. You can take that backpack off and just hand it over to Source. You're not as important as it feels like. And I mean that in the most loving way. It's okay to trust the universe, to trust God, to trust Source, to trust Spirit, to trust universal consciousness, whatever word you're comfortable with. Trust, surrender is Vara Pranidhana. So those are the Yamas and Niyamas in a nutshell, and we'll unpack those as we go along. Sat Nam.